time to wake up. For what is reality? Obviously, no one can say. Reality isn't material, that's just an idea. Reality isn't spiritual, that's just an idea. Reality is...
Peace, this is DJ Ohlow coming to you live from Radio Fairfax here in Fairfax, VA. You're tuned into On Beat with Ohlow, and we're talking about esoteric and Masonic symbolism. We're here with Nathan Arrington. I wasn't going to say your name, man, because, you know, I didn't want you to have to expose your government name, but you said it, so it's cool.
I don't care. It's all good.
Yeah, I guess we could say it now. That's what's up, man.
If Big Brother wants to get me, they'll find me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't even matter, right? But before the break, we were talking about, I wanted to get into black magic and the occult. Again, and the reason I'm asking about this stuff is because it's trendy, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Kids ask me about this stuff. Little kids ask me about Bohemian Grove, and they ask me about, you know, the Freemasons. And all right, let me just break it down, man. To the best of my knowledge, you know, the Freemasons came from, and if I'm wrong, cut me off right away, came from Scotland. And they were bricklayers, and they were some of the best bricklayers of the time. And they were used by some of the global elite to hide secrets, to build, like you said, bunkers or whatever, you know what I mean, castles or whatever else, to hide some of this, to hide books or to hide, I don't know, man,
hide knowledge.
Weapons, knowledge, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the number one weapon, man, is knowledge. And that's how they got their foot in the door. And like you said, you know, when the Illuminati started to go out and venture into different organizations, they felt safe working with the Freemasons. And if what I'm saying is wrong, please stop me at any time.
Okay.
But that's pretty much on point. But it could take a little bit of elaboration though.
Go ahead.
Like, so, all right, hidden knowledge. All right, I'm gonna interject. I'm gonna add something to the cipher real quick. All right, you said earlier, like before the break, you were like, you come into a lot of dead ends, or like where you're like spots where your research kind of like tailors off or whatever. You should. I have a suggestion for you. Look into the Moorish legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Study up on Moors, all right? Because when you said knowledge, like the masonry system was the high knowledge, whatever. Well, you're gonna go into that road because a lot of that knowledge was the like the suppression
from Egypt.
It was the suppression of the Moorish legacy. Now that can connect you to Egypt. Like you can't go from like here all the way to like pre-dynastic, like Kemet in Egypt and all that without there's a middle. That's not so ancient. It's ancient, but you don't have to go back pre-3000 like BC, like, you know,
the Middle East is the core of all mystery schools. It really is.
Yeah, but and then you look at those people around that area, and then that's the passage, because you have to, if you study wars, you study the money, you study dynasties, you're gonna, that's the suppression. So the transfer of power, and when you study that Moorish legacy, that's the connection from here to what we're doing now, like around this time right now currently.
Oh, absolutely.
And to like about the last 400 years, it's that gap that's always missing. That's the suppression. And the suppression of the people who are the Moors, that's the key. So once you get into that, start connecting those dots, then the symbolism and the stories and all that, it's not going to be occult. It's not going to be hidden, because that's really all occult means, is just hidden. You know what I'm saying?
Hidden in plain sight.
Right, and it's going to be right there. It's so there's no mystic. And then when we're talking about black magic, sometimes, I mean, I've heard a lot being said about that, and a lot of some of my research takes me back to the color of the people who were doing the magic, right? And it's not really like a system of magic. They were referring to the people who were doing the magic, but a lot of them was calling those people gypsies and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Up in like in like early Europe and things like that. There's a book you can read, Ancient and Modern Britons, by an author named David McRitchie. It'll put you onto a lot of that.
That's fascinating. I've never heard of the theory that the name black magic came as a reference to the people rather than their actual what they were practicing. Yeah. That's very intriguing.
I got a question for everybody, man. What do you guys think of hallucinogens?
Woohoo!
You talking about regular radio, right?
Yeah, regular radio, man. This is you got to give us the clean
FM,
version,
right?
It's bad.
You're talking about clear channel stations?
Yeah.
I find so fascinating the people who do studies on the biology of mystical experiences that parallel people who take hallucinogens, people who just go without a certain amount of nutrients for a long time, or people
There's
who
different ways, yeah.
have near-death
Fasting.
experiences or visions that are linked to birth and death, and just the studies that go into like what's going on in the brain when that happens and why it's happening and how far back it goes and how common that those chemicals are found like all over the world. Dimethyltryptamine for one.
Well, there's one called
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, yeah, from Brazil, right?
Yeah, the shamans there, they said that the spirits led them to that plant. And not only that, because it's two parts, if I'm not mistaken. The ayahuasca brew is made with
It's like a tea, right?
a vine. Yeah, it's like a
Yup.
really foul-smelling, foul-tasting tea, and it's made with like part of a vine, but there's something in our body, an MAOI inhibitor, that metabolizes it really fast, so you can't really take it orally. But they said that the spirits led them to another plant that makes it so it's orally active, so that it's like a 10-hour journey that you're taking on. And it's really interesting the correlations with everyone's experience who's had it, and how most of them say that they enter into this realm where they communicate with what they call the spirit of ayahuasca, like Mother Earth. There's different. It's impossible to put words to these experiences.
Everybody's experience is different, but I think for the most part, everybody. Again, this is from my research and this is from my experience. Not my experience with the drug, but with people that I've talked to that have experienced the drug, including Sting. If you know anybody who knows Sting from Police, they say that they just felt like you said, connected to the earth, connected to Mother Earth, and connected to the universe, and they can pretty much they opened up a channel in their brain. They used a part of their brain that we don't really use. I forgot what it was called, but I think you just said
pineal gland.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's proven, but DMT is released
DMT, exactly.
when we're born and when we die, and I think when we dream, and it's like the main chemical in ayahuasca.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. And you feel connected, and it gives you it gives you like an awakening, man. And again, I'm not advocating for anybody to do this. You know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking on it, and
it's interesting.
It is interesting.
People
man.
walk away from addictions.
Yeah, but check it. What I was about to bring. I'm glad you said addictions, because there's a lot of those herbs or whatever that take you on those journeys and everything that you just said. But guess what? In the U.S. jurisdiction, they're on the CDS list, the Controlled Dangerous Substances. There's schedules, and so
actually,
for all the kids listening, I'll just say that the shamans will tell you that the chemical substances are a shortcut. The shamans, when they're experienced, they don't need the chemicals. Most of these experiences can be created in your mind or body without the use of external influences, if you know how to train your mind to be open to these things.
Through meditation.
It's the yogis.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yogis and the gurus.
Yep. Meditation, fasting, proper diet, exercise, and I think meditation is one of the keys.
I think most people would agree with that.
Of course. Quieting, you got to quiet your mind. You got to learn how to quiet your mind.
And, cultivation, man, a lot of things something that people don't know about me is that I've just gotten into cultivation, man. I just planted this is going to be our 3rd year of having a garden, an organic garden. And the more I work on the garden and the more I work outside, the more connected I feel. And in my experience, when I'm working outside, I'm not thinking about music. I'm not thinking about this show. I'm not thinking about making money or paying bills or these things that I have to think about for the rest of the week. And I feel more connected with the earth, man. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that if we can release the things that we're so worried about, we'll go back to our original self and start to be more connected with the earth.
in
We just have
harmony.
to- yeah, you know, I find that peace, man. It's crazy. I find that peace just working in the garden, man, and I can feel like the breeze on my face. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. It's different. You don't get that from other things. Like you said, like you don't need, you know, I don't need any trees. I don't need any hallucinogens. I don't need anything when I'm out there working in the garden.
Well, you know, the good thing about using those chemical shortcuts is it could, if you can, you know, maintain not abusing these substances, it tunes out everything else.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. Like when you're in your garden, you're not thinking about everything else. The world's so full of distraction, and it's
Exactly.
designed to be that way. You know, when I'm doing research, I'm usually sitting in my garden in my backyard. You know, just letting the sun hit me, and you know, I think your mind really reflects your environment. You know, like my room's in my basement, and I find I can't think as well sometimes when I'm down there. You know, I just feel cramped up and almost not claustrophobic, but just confined. And when I'm in the open, I don't know. It's almost like my mind's that much more open. You know, it reflects my the environment.
You need that solar
thing.
recharge, man.
Oh, definitely.
Always. You know, we're people of the sun. You know, something else I wanted to ask you about, man, and this
That
goes
was our
back
first
to the
God.
Yeah, man. Exactly. See, and that's another thing that people don't know either, man. Like you said before, you know, religion goes in circles too, man. One reflects the other. Anyways, man, something else I wanted to ask you about. You said you've been taking all these pictures in DC, and I wanted to ask you about the layout of DC.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of things online that show how the different monuments and different buildings were specifically placed in perfect coordinates, so they're in line with Orion's belt, and they also make a pentagram, or they make, you know, if you look at it from like an aerial view, you can see, what's the owl called, E? The owl that, you said it before, man. You know what I'm talking about? The symbol of the owl.
On the Capitol grounds?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can see
I
it.
don't
If you
know.
go to Google Maps and look at the U.S. Capitol building,
Yeah.
you can distinctly see an owl pattern laid out there.
Archimedes?
Is that what it is?
I don't know. It's from
Yeah, I don't-
Once and Future King.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Man.
A lot of the conspiracy theorists call it Molech with that Old Testament reference, but
Molech. Yeah, exactly. Right.
but Molech
yeah.
was generally a bull.
Okay.
Rarely and occasionally it was represented in owl form, but more often it was a bull, half man, kind of like a minotaur almost.
All right. And so you're saying that. So it's real. I mean, it's
Oh, the
obviously-
owl's there.
Yeah.
Google it.
Everybody
Go to
can
Google
see
Maps.
it.
You can't miss it.
Yeah.
Can't miss it.
So who placed that there? Is that something that was?
I don't know if the owl was, in fact, a part of the original design or not. I should go back. I don't believe it was. I've seen the
pentagram.
replications of the L'Enfant plan of the city, and I don't recall seeing the owl on it. I don't know if that came from Benjamin Banneker's design or if that was something that came later, but it's definitely there now.
Benjamin Banneker is another person I want to get into, man, because there's a lot of
okay.
controversy behind him too in his life. And for those who don't know, Benjamin Banneker was give us the information about Benjamin Banneker, man.
Benjamin Banneker was a astrologer, astronomer, scientist, mathematician, and he was commissioned to.
And he was a Freemason.
You could say that, or you know, like there's been lectures
Or
that
he was a boule.
well not.
I've been waiting to say that right there. Like I've been like, okay, out of all of your pictures, how many pictures have you seen that represent the boule?
That's a subject I just got into.
Okay.
Like that's something that just
Yep.
came to my attention kind
true.
of recently.
Well, it that group being a stem off of a tie-in with between the Masons to the Illuminati to today's sororities and fraternities,
Mhm.
tying in with those last two groups more than anything else, and that symbolism has to be a part of your artwork somewhere. If you have 5,000 pictures, it's almost like impossible for me to believe that none of them tie in.
Oh, I'm sure there are tie-ins. It's hard to imagine that there aren't.
Yeah, some would say if you go to just any Prince Hall Mason is bootleg. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the general consensus from the very, very brief amount of research I've done into this subject so far. But yeah, most, like, for lack of a better word, conspiracy theorists do tie it in pretty directly with Prince Hall Masonry.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. But back to Benjamin Banneker.
Oh yeah, so
Some more
then
info.
I was saying there's I've seen lectures that tie him goes so deep into saying that like Benjamin Franklin like really didn't exist, and like that was a pen name for like Benjamin Banneker.
All right, so yeah, let me touch on that real quick.
Wouldn't
that be something?
I've seen
because I've read that too. No, I've read that too. Oh, lectures?
I've seen plenty of
lectures. I read it. No, I haven't
Okay.
seen any lectures, but I've read that online, and I also read. All right, so this is what I read of Benjamin Banneker, and this isn't recently. This is like from when I was a little kid. The Benjamin Banneker was from a tribe in Rhode Island, and when the Pilgrims came over, the Pilgrims had a vision of this tribal boy in Rhode Island. And he was supposed to be the prophet, and he was going to bring them to whatever, salvation, or whatever it was going to be.
What was the name of the tribe? Do you have the name?
I forgot, man. It's something. I remember it was in Rhode Island.
It was like the Abenaki. See, like,
I can't remember.
What I heard was like Abenaki.
Abenaki, yeah, it sounds right.
It's like Abenaki, but then like Benjamin, like Banneker. It's like Banneker is a bastardization of Abenaki.
Oh, so yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Abenaki? Does that have anything to do with Anunnaki?
I mean, probably. We were talking about esoteric, but this is just not me. This is just what I'm quoting stuff that I've read. I mean, like you said, I I built on this a lot of times, but I'm digging back in my notes right now, like in my mental notes. This has been a minute ago since I built on stuff like this, but
so back to my story.
Y'all research it.
Back to my story.
Y'all research it, but
this is based off my research, and I don't even know if this is true or not. This is just what I read online. So they came, they found him in Rhode Island, they slayed his tribe, took him and raised him on within themselves, and let him go to school and let him study, and he became the smart dude and whatever, and he was actually he was an original American. Like, he wasn't, there's, I guess, the mainstream story, and then there's this alternative story, and the mainstream story kind of coincides with this story, but then it goes back into all that stuff where it says, well, Benjamin Banneker was actually Benjamin Franklin, and the reason they couldn't use Benjamin Banneker's face is because, he was a black dude at that time, and so they had to make up this Benjamin Franklin and use his face on everything. And there's a lot of interesting facts, like Oocyn was saying, that those two men, although they have written to each other and they lived around the same time, there was never a situation where they were in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, and they were saying it's too much of a coincidence that they know they have
all the same connections.
But they've never been in like the same place, or they've never had any work together, like no articles written or any public, anything.
Yeah, no one ever saw them together in the public. They were never in the public eye together. Anyways, again, this just goes back to, everything we're talking about. I'm not saying that it's true. I'm not saying it's fake.
But then that ties into like you can branch that off into like the creation of the United States. You know what I'm saying? Because of like the the confederations that were made like through the natives that were here. You know what I'm saying? And like the Confederates that they had set up, and then that they helped establish the Continental Congress. The Continental Congress is basically is just like a offshoot of the confederations that were already built of the so-called natives or whatever. And so Benjamin Banneker had so I've heard, so I've read. I wasn't there, I don't know, but I'm just spitting what I know and what I've read. And so he had a part of helping them set up the first Constitution, which was like the Articles of Confederation and things like that, and established the Continental Congress.
And all that being said, man, so Benjamin Banneker, he laid out the original design to D.C. Is that correct?
It was actually L'Enfant.
Oh, it was L'Enfant?
When L'Enfant quit the committee, for lack of a better word, of planning the city, and took his plans with him. It was Banneker who recreated L'Enfant's blueprint to the letter from memory.
Okay, but what about Philly though? It wasn't Philly designed by Benjamin Banneker?
Was it?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Well,
Anybody know about
Philly
that?
was the original capital. of
Okay,
the
but
United States.
wasn't the
I'm
original?
I'm not sure.
I've
I don't know.
never
I don't
heard
know
that
if it was
before.
designed by something
Oh,
like that. I don't
no?
know. I don't
Yeah.
know if he designed that or not.
But he's credited with being the single greatest contributor to recreating the L'Enfant plan for DC.
Okay. So
Which
maybe
is
I got
still
my
called the
information.
L'Enfant plan. You know,
Yeah.
They never called it the Banneker plan.
And it's
Banneker's very rarely mentioned. There is a small monument to him right next to L'Enfant Plaza, overlooking the Potomac. It's just a small fountain, though. I mean, there's no statues or anything to him anywhere in the city. That
His
I know
face
of.
is on the $100 bill though,
Yeah, that's true.
as Ben Franklin. No, I'm just joking, man. I don't know, man.
I find that one a little, I don't know. Hard
Who
to
knows,
believe.
man?
Only because Franklin was so prolific, not only in America but across the whole world.
Yeah, exactly. In England, in Europe.
You know, he ran Masonic. Well, supposedly, I don't believe there is actual documentation to prove Franklin was a Mason, but it said that like he was the head of the Lodge of the Nine Sisters in France and several in England. And there are lodges named for him here in the States, but I don't think any documentation ever surfaced to prove him or Jefferson were actually Masons.
Did you spend any time in Alexandria at the Masonic Temple over there?
I've been there several times. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you?
JT and I went there kind of recently together.
Did they let you guys go downstairs?
Downstairs?
Yeah. See, he said downstairs. That's what I'm talking
Well,
about.
I mean, there's a lower level where there's museums and things like that.
Yeah.
and they have
No, I
like
mean downstairs though.
I think we only went down to
Like
the
one
ground
flight,
level.
right? Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Yeah, because I went there and I asked about it. You know, I went there a few times with my friends as well, and I asked, and they took us to the lower level, where it's just, you know, it was like where it was the hall where they had the checkered floor and they had, you know, stuff.
We went there.
But I asked, I was like, yeah, can we go to the lower level? And he was like, what are you talking about? And I said, you know, the lower level. He was like, nah, this is all it is right here. And I said, nah, I want to see where you guys hang out. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, I mean, I guess one of our friends is actually, he's part of a lodge in Alexandria, and he's trying to find his way in. He's trying to get good with these guys. He knows who I'm talking about.
Well, don't blow his cover.
Yeah, I know, man. But we'll let him blow his own cover. It's all
Exactly.
good, man.
You're not gonna get downstairs until you're one of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Period.
What downstairs?
That's what I'm saying. What downstairs, right? Yeah, man. But that's what's up, man. For those who don't know, again, this is On Beat with Ohlow, coming to you live from Radio Fairfax here in Fairfax, VA. And we're talking to Nathan Arrington about Masonic symbolism, esoteric symbolism. He's a photographer, and he documented. You pretty much just went around DC on your own time, on your own budget, for your own thing, and just started taking pictures of esoteric symbolism. And you got them up on your Flickr account?
Yes, they're on my Flickr account. I'll link the website when it gets launched on the Flickr account for anybody that wants to see it in the near future.
That
Cool.
Flickr account is?
It's Flickr/photos/Nathan Arrington, and that should bring you to my photo stream.
Yeah, so if people wanted to check you out,
You can just type my name into Flickr, though. It'll come up.
Perfect.
Or type in the words esoteric and Washington, D.C., and I guarantee you 90% of the searches that come back are going to be my photos.
Gotcha.
that's what's up, man. Does anyone else have any questions? We also have Oocyn. We got my man Grizz. Go ahead, Grizz. You got something to say?
I still want that answer.
For what?
From 20 minutes ago.
About the boule?
Yeah.
What was the question
Me
again?
too.
How many of those pictures really tie in?
Oh,
how
man.
many things are really exposed in those
Yeah.
pictures? You got 5,000 flicks, man.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the boule is something that I just started looking into, so I'll do some homework, though.
I got a question
I'll try
for
to
you,
come back
man.
with some good information on that.
Did you find any Islamic influence in any of the symbolism?
Not overly, not heavily.
No.
A lot of it's more allegorical.
Allegorical?
Mhm.
What does that mean?
I mean,
Go ahead.
okay. It's cloaked. You know, it's using representations from antiquity. So you know,
Okay.
there's a lot of deciphering that has to be done to the greater meaning of a lot of these symbols. A lot of it's represented in Greek and Romanesque type neoclassical artwork. So
Some Egyptian.
yeah, some Egyptian influence certainly. The giant obelisk of the the Washington Monument, probably the best known monument in D.C., is definitely
Also in
Egyptian
Philly.
influence.
Also in Philly. Not as big.
Oh yeah, they do have an obelisk there,
Yeah, not as
and
big.
in New York, which are actually from Egypt, and those are both real obelisks. The one in traditionally an obelisk is one solid piece of stone. The one in D.C. obviously has many stones and many different types. You can see from the two levels, there's a giant discoloration because of the stone that was used before and after the halt during the Civil War in the construction. But the purpose of that is it does reflect one heavy Masonic principle, which is out of many stones, like people, comes one.
Comes one.
solid
Exactly.
structure.
And there's so much more I wanted to get into about that too, because I read some things about the obelisk and how they used it in ancient Egypt or in Kemet, and how it was the center of the city and it was the center of energy for the city. But that'll have to be another show. Anyone else have any questions, any plugs, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Well, I'll just say real quick. I know once you get into the higher ranks of like all the masonry and things like that, and like going to the Shrinerdom, like the whole Shriner system is based on Islam.
Shrinerism?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
that is very
And
true.
so
It's based on zakat, right? It's all based on charity.
that's an element of it. But earlier before the break, we were talking about we had mentioned the Sufis, and we all know Sufis are the mystic Muslims. You know what I'm saying? It's like the esoteric Muslims. And so a lot of Sufism and symbolism and all that, it's in those degrees as well. It may not be in the symbolism and the architecture of DC, but once you start talking about those circles and things like that, whatever you know, and you'll see there's a Moorish room and there's an Islamic room in those museums, the
Library of
Masons
Congress.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's what's up. Anyways, our time is up. This is On Beat with Ohlow, coming to you live from Radio Fairfax. Just want to say peace.